back at the track with the M2. We were just here a couple of weeks ago doing that shakedown test. Did not get a representative time during that shakedown test just due to traffic, but had a great weekend. Dialing the car in, we were able to figure out a little bit about how these track attacks perform, and I tell you, they were really, really impressive. For a 200 treadwear, very, very fast, feel really comfortable on them. So yeah, maybe there was traffic, but still a good test to feel out how the car was and how these MCS three-ways did. So went back to HQ and decided to make a little bit of a spring rate change. So we have increased the rate on this thing, and back out here again to shake it down a little bit more and tweak on it a little bit more, rub on it, make it a little bit faster, we hope. So gonna find out how that goes today as we play with these track attacks, and then we're gonna put some R7s on a little bit later to get some more grip and see how those perform with these MCS three-ways. So excited once this fog clears to get this thing out on track. First warm-up session done, track feels good, car feels good. That spring rate change was a big step in the right direction. The car feels way more comfortable with, this thing's heavy, so it's super heavy and we needed to get some more spring rate in it to support it. It feels really good, especially over the curves and the S's. The thing just feels planted. These MCS dampers absorbing the curbs, it just feels so good. So now we're gonna go bolt on some stickier rubber, some Hoosier R7s, and see what we can do. These track attacks are pretty near beat. They got a lot of laps on them. I burned them down pretty good over that last weekend we had on them, and well, still got a 202.6, so feeling pretty good about that. Had some more time in it, but I may have short-filled the fuel, and thus I didn't get a chance to go out and keep running and get a few more laps, but super happy with that time, super happy with how the car is performing, which means now it's time to bolt on that stickier rubber, see what we got. that was fun. I had a blast in this thing that session, a 2-minute 200.47, so feeling amazing with that. Last time out here with that stock suspension and the staggered set of R7s, 204, so 4 seconds. 4 seconds thanks to these 305 fronts, and really big thanks to these MCS 3-way dampers that just gave so much grip and compliance. Of course, the R7s helped, but man, the MCS are the foundation of this package. We're looking at data like 6-7 miles an hour up the S's gained, which of course equates to a big chunk of lap time, 4-5 miles an hour in turn 4. I don't know, it was fun. It was a great time feeling this thing out. Stock power level 2. So this car, extremely capable. See if we can do a little more. Went out for one more session just to see, but I had hunch that it was not going to be faster. The sun has come out and the track has gone away. We were still in that same ballpark, but no faster. But man, I gotta say, I am so impressed with how this thing did. Don't know if I said it before, but stock power. This thing is on stock power. Part of the development we want to do with this car is keep it at stock power. We know that you can make a lap time pretty easily by going to the moon, and we know that these S58s can go to the moon pretty easily with power, but really, we want to keep this as a good baseline through and through as we develop parts for this thing. So that was a phase of getting these squared TA55 wheels on here with this MCS 3-way suspension, and pumped with how this phase of the project went. So stay tuned for more coming up on this. Back at home base, and wanted to do a little comparison of the data between the stock suspension run and the MCS 3-way suspension run. Stock was a 204.144. And then the MCS run was a 200.472. These are with me driving. James did go a little bit faster for the stock suspension run, but figured the better comparison is going to be, well, I drove it with the MCS, better compared to the lap time that I did with the stock suspension. And diving right in, we've got the red line is the MCS suspension run, the blue is with the stock, and you can just, taking a broad look at it, see that there are some pretty glaring spots where the red is raised up, more speed. We're looking at a GPS speed trace here, so more speed with those MCS dampers. This is still stock power for both runs here. So even though this coming into turn 1 looks like we probably had some more power, really where that probably came from is a good run out of hog pen to make the run down the front straight. And also you can see I broke a bit later. So this is like 5 miles an hour difference coming into turn 1, and I broke later. So not just cornering speed that you're gaining with the MCS, but gaining more support under the car to give more confidence and stability under the car, not just nosing over when hitting those brakes and yamming on those things. So also braking performance is a big piece of adding suspension and spring rate to a car. Then as we kind of carry through, another 3.5 miles an hour in turn 1 as the V-min difference. And then as you get to turn 2, it turns out with cars that are pretty fast, turn 2 can actually be a turn. In like the Spec E46, it's just flat, you hold it down, you don't really think about it, just go. In like the GT More, it was definitely a turn. Had to think about what was going on in turn 2. And with the M2, I would say also with the stock suspension, it felt a little bit floaty, a little bit unstable, and kind of not super confidence inspiring. So in turn 2, you can see this blue line pretty decently lower and the red line pretty consistently higher at about 4 miles an hour faster, as I had more confidence with that platform under the car. It's not even totally a grip thing necessarily, but giving the platform to be able to just confidently drive through and feel stable in the corner, which turn 2 turns out is a corner in a fast car. You know, turn 3, I think at entry, I was about 5 miles an hour difference, and then another 2.5, 3 miles an hour V-min here, but then I kind of bobbled a little bit, I guess, around this area with the stock suspension, and you can see that having the ability to just plant the power down, so more speed through the corner, and then I was able to just plant the power down with that suspension and kind of just rocketed up, and quite a bit more speed before getting into turn 4. We're talking about 5 miles an hour difference getting into turn 4 before slamming on the brakes. Then another few miles an hour here at actual V-min for turn 4, minimum velocity. And then kind of this little floating around area between 4 and 5 where you're kind of opening the wheel, taking a breath, was able to really carry quite a bit more speed as well there at about 6 miles an hour plus, just to kind of hold the car and then kind of carry it through. And then it sort of evened out. I'm not sure what was going on with the wind. Maybe there was a wind difference or something. We'll get into a little bit more of that here in just a second. But entry into the S's was right similar-ish, but then I was able to carry it much through. We were about 2, 3, 4 miles an hour faster at the entry of the S's. And then this is where that suspension really starts to shine, is that stock suspension just kind of floating, the weight transfer is kind of floating around. You got to wait for the car to take a set. And with this extra spring rate, really able to just feel confident in what is going on as hammering and slicing up through the S's. I mean, we're talking the middle of the S's, right around here, I believe, 119 miles an hour or so, and then 127 miles an hour with the MCS suspension. So you're talking about an 8 mile an hour difference. Obviously it tapers a little bit and has some adjustment here, but you know, roughly an 8 mile an hour difference through the S's. That is significant lap time. And I gotta say, I think I could do a little bit better than what is on here. So really kind of eager to get back out there after looking at the data and want to go a bit quicker, as I'm looking at this at a 2:04 and I'm thinking, man, where was the 59? The 59 was in there. I got to get back out there. Anyways, moving on. South Bend, another, what do we got? 2, 3 miles an hour difference here, as I bobbled it a little bit with the previous stock suspension run. Another point of being able to smoothly get through the corner, get that power down, and then kind of coming into the entry of Oak Tree into 11, you're talking, because of this gain, there's a big separation throughout that range right here that you can see on the graph. You know, you're talking 4 or 5 miles an hour throughout that. Here's where I get a little bit frustrated and really want to take another stab at this, because I was actually slower. You can see right here, the red drops below the blue. I was slower at about 44, 45 miles an hour with the MCS suspension and 47 miles an hour with the stock suspension. So I botched it. I messed up. Should have carried more speed through Oak Tree. Oh well, not perfect. Overall, a pretty good lap, but that bums me out a little bit, as I just want to get back out there and get the speed. Anyways, here's where I get a little bit curious about the wind. Is I actually started out being a little bit quicker. I got power down, so I was a little bit slower through Oak Tree, but I got power down quicker and started actually building speed greater than the last run. But then it started to fall off. So it started falling off at the top, and we actually only had about a half mile an hour difference at the very end. But here we are again, where you can see I broke deeper. So that confidence in the car, that confidence in the suspension, breaking deeper into the roller coaster. Oh, what did I do here? Snap back to reality. And then getting into the rest of this, somewhat close, a couple mile an hour difference between 14, 15, and then coming into 16, a big difference here of about 5+ miles an hour, coming through there, being able to plant the car, just hammering those curbs, and then the car taking the set down and not feeling like, oh, the car is bouncing around all over the place, just feeling super confident what we got going on. And then that was able to carry through to some better lap time. So overall, super pumped with how that lap turned out. Obviously see some areas that I wish I could go and redo and get a little bit more time back, as I would love to be, I wish this thing was a 59. It was in there. James probably would have gotten it. Oh well, I'm going to get back out there with this thing. So thanks for tuning in and watching along as we have taken the G87 to the next steps, and excited to take even further steps to see what it does next time we get this thing out on track.
Ready to go? Should be an awesome race weekend. kill it this year.
It's good.
It's going to be a wild ride.